Your toddler just bit another child. Hard. At daycare. In front of everyone. You got the call. You had to go pick them up early. And now you're sitting in the parking lot wondering what is wrong with your kid and what is wrong with you as a parent. Here's what most parents do next. They punish harder. They lecture. They feel shame. That response? It makes biting worse, not better. Because biting in toddlers has almost nothing to do with aggression or defiance, and everything to do with what's happening inside an underdeveloped brain. Dr. Richard E. Tremblay at the Université de Montréal tracked thousands of children over decades. His finding? Physical aggression, including biting, peaks between 17 and 41 months. Not adolescence, not school age, toddlerhood. This is the most aggressive phase of the entire human lifespan, and almost no parent knows that. In the next 7 minutes, I'll show you 3 brain-based reasons toddlers bite, and 3 strategies that actually stop it. No punishment, no shame, just science. Welcome to the parenting brain, where we take real neuroscience and child psychology research and turn it into something parents can actually use. Today, we're going inside the toddler brain to answer one question. Why does your child bite? And what can you actually do about it? We'll cover 3 things. 1. The neuroscience behind why biting happens at this exact age. 2. The 3 brain-based triggers that cause biting. And 3 evidence-based strategies that actually work to stop it. No guilt trips, no lectures, just science. Let's start with the brain itself. Your toddler's prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for impulse control, planning, and decision-making, is barely online right now. This isn't a parenting failure. It's developmental biology. The prefrontal cortex doesn't reach maturity until the mid-20s. At age 2 or 3, when biting is most common, the brain is almost entirely run by the amygdala, the emotional alarm system. When something feels overwhelming, scary, or frustrating, the amygdala fires. The body goes into fight or flight mode, and for a toddler without words, without impulse control, without a fully functioning brake pedal, biting is what happens next. Dr. Philip Zelazo at the University of Minnesota has shown that executive function, the ability to stop, think, and choose a different action, is one of the last cognitive skills to come online in young children. Your 2-year-old literally cannot stop themselves the way a 5-year-old can. The hardware isn't there yet. Here's the number that changes everything. Dr. Tremblay's longitudinal research found that up to 80% of toddlers engage in some form of physical aggression, hitting, biting, or kicking, before their 3rd birthday. 80%. Biting is not a sign of a bad child. It is not a sign of bad parenting. It is a sign of a brain that hasn't finished building itself yet. The question isn't whether your child bites. The question is, what trigger is driving it right now? There are 3 brain-based triggers for biting. The first is sensory overwhelm. Toddlers experience the world through their bodies. And for many children, biting isn't about anger at all. It's a regulatory behavior. Here's the neuroscience. The jaw is one of the most powerful sources of proprioceptive input in the human body. The trigeminal nerve, the largest cranial nerve in the human head, connects jaw movement directly to the brain's core regulatory systems. When a toddler's nervous system becomes overloaded, too loud, too crowded, too stimulating, their brain instinctively reaches for one of the most powerful self-calming mechanisms it has: biting. Occupational therapist Laura Petix, who specializes in pediatric sensory processing, explains it this way. Biting provides the brain with a powerful hit of deep pressure input. For an overwhelmed nervous system, that input can be organizing and calming. The same reason adults chew gum when stressed. The child isn't being aggressive, and they're self-regulating the only way they know how. The second trigger is communication failure. Toddlers between 18 and 30 months are in a language explosion, but their expressive vocabulary is still far behind what they feel and need. They experience frustration, excitement, overwhelm, and boundary violations. but they don't yet have the words to say, "I'm overwhelmed," "I need space," or "that was mine." So the body speaks instead. Research published in Developmental Psychology found that the association between language delays and physical aggression is not a simple one. But parenting response plays a significant role in shaping whether the two problems grow together or apart. When adults consistently teach children what to say instead of what they're feeling, the biting drops. Your child isn't being manipulative. They're speaking the only language they currently have fluency in. The third trigger is emotional flooding. When a toddler feels a big emotion, excitement, anger, pure joy, their underdeveloped prefrontal cortex cannot contain it. The emotional signal comes in fast and loud from the amygdala, and there is no strong enough brake to stop the behavioral response. This is why toddlers sometimes bite the people they love most, during a hug, during play, in a moment of intense closeness. Dr. Tremblay's research is clear. Aggression in toddlers is not learned behavior the way we once believed. It is a developmental default. What happens when emotion exceeds the brain's current capacity to regulate it? The aggression decreases naturally as the prefrontal cortex develops, not because children learn to be mean, but because they eventually build the neurological tools to manage what they feel. Your job is to help build those tools. So what do you actually do? Strategy 1. Stop the overwhelm before the bite. Because most biting is triggered by sensory overwhelm or emotional flooding, the single most effective intervention happens before the bite, not after. Watch your child's signals. Biting rarely comes from nowhere. There's almost always a buildup, increased movement, repetitive behavior, pulling away from touch, or a sudden change in energy. When you see those signals in an overwhelming environment, crowded birthday party, loud grocery store, overstimulating playdate, intervene early. Remove them from the environment. Give them a quiet, low-stimulation space. Offer what OTs call heavy work. Pushing, pulling, carrying something. Activities that give the nervous system the proprioceptive input it needs without needing to bite to get it. Laura Petix calls this a sensory diet, proactively giving the nervous system what it needs throughout the day so it never gets to the crisis point where biting is the only option left. Prevention is always more powerful than reaction. Strategy 2. Build language before the storm. You cannot teach vocabulary in the middle of a meltdown. The flooded brain cannot learn. But in calm moments, at breakfast, during bath time, during stories, you can build the words. Practice simple, specific phrases. I need space. That's mine. I'm too loud in here. Use picture cards if needed. Play out the scenario with stuffed animals. Give your child a script for the feelings that currently have no words. New research consistently shows that as expressive language grows, physical aggression, including biting, naturally decreases. You're not just stopping a behavior. You're building a replacement system inside the brain. Strategy 3. Respond to the bite without reinforcing it. Most parents respond to biting with a big emotional reaction: shock, anger, a loud voice. From a brain science perspective, that intense adult response is stimulating. For a child whose nervous system is already dysregulated, it can actually escalate them further. Instead, brief, calm, firm. Get down to their level. One sentence. Biting hurts. We don't bite. Then redirect immediately to a safe alternative. A chew toy, a chewy snack, a teething ring. Give the nervous system what it was looking for. Then, once they are calm, to name what happened. You were really frustrated. Next time say, I need a break. Calm, brief, redirect, name. 4 steps. Every time. Let's bring it together. Toddler biting is not defiance. It's not aggression. And it is not a sign that you have failed as a parent. It is what happens when a nervous system without full impulse control hits an emotional ceiling, and the only tool available is the mouth. 3 triggers: sensory overwhelm, communication failure, and emotional flooding. 3 strategies: prevent the overwhelm, build the language in calm moments, and respond with brief, calm redirection. The brain your toddler has right now is not the brain they'll have at 5. Your job is to bridge the gap with patience, with tools, and with science on your side. And if this changed how you see your child today, that's exactly why the Parenting Brain exists. Subscribe so you don't miss the next video. And tell me in the comments, what was the most surprising thing you learned today? I read every single one.